Lower class and social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force them air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God will give. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. This is Game On. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. It's October the 20th, 2015. Kind of interesting day or so around here. We apparently had an election. Nobody told me there was an election going on. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, somebody had an election, and I guess somebody got elected. Nobody we care about. But better, I want to talk about Michael Schmidt, the milk farmer, for a minute. This just gets more bizarre as it goes along, okay? They raided him, what was it, way back in 98? For the first time, raided him several times since, and October, well, let's see, the week prior to October the 3rd, there was a load of, not just raw milk, okay, they don't just do raw milk, okay, they do butter and vegetables and cheeses and all that kind of stuff, and so they were running it down to Richmond Hill, I guess, and when they got down there, they got raided down there. And the following week, they came up and raided the farm. And I've already explained that was rather ridiculous, like 20 agents, more like Get Smart agents, rolled in there with the police. And so you had the Queen's agents and the Queen's infantry, I suppose, the foot soldiers, in there to raid Michael's farm, who just happens to be sitting on the Queen's land, because apparently the Queen is the absolute owner of all land in this country. And So they'd put the cameras on his farm to spy on the comes and goings at the farm. Way back in July, they kind of found the cameras and phoned the police and say, we found some cameras, so don't know whose they are, but if somebody says they lost their cameras and they can identify them, we'll give them to them. So that was way back in July, and in October, on October the 3rd, they came and raided the farm again, at which point they fessed up to the fact that the government owned the cameras and wanted them back. And Michael had he has several lawyers running around on this and different people. And he said, well, some lawyers got, I'm not sure which one, but we'll get it figured out. Well, right away after that, after they were forced to, after the Queen's headhunters were forced to leave the farm with nothing, they turned around and charged Michael for theft and mischief over the cameras, which is ludicrous, to say the least. And then they scheduled Michael to go to the police station. I call it a jail because there's no jail around here anymore. They closed them all. So each of these police stations have holding cells in them. And they scheduled him to go there last night at 7 o'clock to have his fingerprints taken. Well, he's had his fingerprints taken more time you shake a stick at, and apparently fingerprints don't change from the time you're born until the time you die. So there's no need to take fingerprints, but this is the way they operate. And so they do it on election night and tell him he's got to be there at 7 o'clock. So they put the word out asking for people to show up in Durham, Ontario for support. So, I figured if 7 o'clock at night, and it's they're going to have to basically eat dinner quick or don't eat it because they have to stage there early. So I thought it would be pretty good if like 25, 30 people showed up. But I got a call last night that some 150 or better showed up and shut down the main street of Durham, Ontario as they walked towards the jailer's quarters with Michael, his wife, and a lawyer leading the way. And so when they got to the jail police station, they went up to the front door. Now this thing's closed for the night. This is the goofy part, right? They didn't tell them to come at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock. That particular police station jail shuts down prior to 7 o'clock, so it's closed. And so there's no staff there. And you can't go in. So I was a little bit worried about Michael. Anyway, so they get there, and some cops shove Michael's wife out of the way and the lawyer out of the way, and get a hold of Michael and drag him into the police station, lock the doors. And so I got a call last night that they were going to hold Michael instead of fingerprint him and let him go. But Michael refused to give him his prints on moral grounds, which we're working with now. And because, see, we're moral people, and your legal system, your rule of law, your color of law with force of law, which is the cops pulling him into the police station jail and shoving his wife and the lawyer aside. Not nice people. But hey, they work for the Queen. What do you want? And so I got a call out and said that Michael was being held because he refused to give his prints, and that they were going to take him to court this afternoon for bail hearing. And then I got a call this morning that had changed what they did last night. And I'm sure, somebody made a call to somebody, and they said, just take his damn prints and get him out of there. We do not bring him to the court. If you bring him to the court, all those people are going to show up here. We don't want that. So instead, they manhandled him and forced him. He didn't give the prints, so I know what they did. They, a couple guys hold him, another two guys grabbing onto his hand and rolling his fingers. A bunch of little children is what they are, but then they work for the Queen. What do you want? And then they kicked him out the door at 6 o'clock this morning. But Michael's a pretty cool guy because I saw a video. So he probably had a pretty weird night last night because the jails aren't comfortable. The holding cells are definitely not comfortable. So he probably had a pretty interesting night last night, and then kicked him out this morning. So he went back up to the farm and hooked up a horse and buggy and put up a video saying that he got tossed out at 6 o'clock in the morning, time to get home and get a horse hooked up in a buggy just in time to take the kids to school. So, that's what we need more of, Some people get crotchety and mad. Now I'm going to get them sons of bitches. They're not important, okay? They're not important. Keep your composure at all times. That's how we're going to beat these clowns into the ground. I'm just happy. So I made a phone call yesterday to the Premier's office, who is in charge, supposedly, of the province. But the Premier of the province, that would be like the governor of a state, is not in charge of the police. In fact, nobody in the province is in charge of the police. The police are in charge of the police. So that, you always have these internal investigations. You see it all the time in the States. Somebody shoots somebody and kills them with holding a butter knife, and the police says, well, we're going to do an internal investigation. That's because they're outside the law. That's because they're outside the reach of the government that created the damn bunch. And same thing here. Anyway, I called the Premier's office, and Michael's been encouraging everyone to call the Premier's office because they want a meeting with the Premier. Well, you're going to complain about the police, which I've done in the past, but nobody's in charge of the police except the police. This is how they operate. But they have a big phone thing going, so I made a phone call yesterday as well. And I wasn't sure if I should have cut it or not. I sent it to Michael. I recorded the thing and sent it to Michael yesterday afternoon before they had to head out to go to the police station jail. And I want him to listen to it. And, I'd like to post it, but, it's your call, because I really don't think some of your people get it. They're worried about, their food, their milk, their vegetables, their cheeses and that. And I don't think they really are that knowledgeable about how the thing actually operates. They think they can just go to the phone the Premier and raise shit and something she's going to change. That's not the way it is. Okay, they're all globalists and they're all working for the global objective, and so therefore they don't represent you and they can't represent you. Your so-called elected officials. So I wasn't too sure about it, but Michael said, no, post this sucker. And I'm quite certain, I'm getting lots of hits on it over my Facebook and over on YouTube and over on my blog, on Michael's Support Michael Schmidt page, which is all about milk and vegetables and that. Not so much. Like I said, I was going to cut it. I did this up for a ways, and then I said something about election, and then the Premier's office person says, well, you did vote, right, or you're going to vote, and then I had to explain to her why I couldn't vote, even though I've run in elections before. That's before I had a full understanding. I mean, I knew the whole game was crooked. I just didn't quite realize how crooked when I ran. That's like 8 years ago or whatever. So I had to explain to the Premier's office why I can't vote and why nobody else can vote. And that we, in fact, are involved in a corporate proxy vote because it's our registered entity that actually, our legal fiction that is actually registered to vote, not us. We, the man, woman, cannot vote. Only our legal fictions can vote, and we act as an agent for that legal fiction. So the vote is actually cast by the legal fiction with our assistance because, of course, a legal fiction can't pick up a pen. So I wasn't too sure if the people that are worried about their milk would get it. But Michael liked it. So anyways, I'm going to stick that in there. And then I think what I'm going to do for a little bit is I really don't want to do this election, but I guess I gotta, because it happened. And it's like every other election. What you have is, I mean, they're all of the elections are, how would I say, fixed, and have been, well, for a very, very long time. And it really doesn't matter. It just matters who they want to get elected, and that's who gets elected. And it's pretty amazing because, I didn't spend much time with the election. I spent very little time with the election because, well, it's not worth spending any time on. But it was, the NDP, which is a New Democratic Party for those who don't live here. And the New Democratic Party was members of International Socialists, which is where Gro Brundtland came from. She was the vice president of International Socialists. So we see the connection there. The leader was a member of the UNPA, which is the United Nations Parliamentary Assembly, pushing for United Nations global governance. And so, the NDP had gotten into Alberta, which had been a conservative stronghold for maybe centuries. I don't know. So they got in there. So now they're pushing this big orange wave across the country. People are so stupid, eh? And so, the media all has the NDP out in front for the longest time, and then the Conservatives took the lead, and then the Liberals had the lead for a little while, and then the NDP started sinking, then the Liberals started sinking, and the Conservatives surged ahead, and then the Liberals started to make a kind of a feeblish comeback, and all this sort of stuff. And this is the papers talking and that, right? And there's the big Hate Harper campaign, and the media. I mean, they can't bring themselves to tell anybody the truth. I mean, they're just whores for the rich men, and so they're whoring their stories around, and people take all of this stuff like either entertainment or a ball game or a football game or a hockey game. That's your team leader, yada, yada, yada. And we're going to beat your team, you're going to beat my team. And nobody seems to have any clue that all these teams are owned by the same corporate body. And it doesn't matter who wins. It doesn't matter if your team wins or my team. I don't have a team, but it just doesn't matter because they're all held by the same group of people. So they win, you lose. Simple as that, and it's always been that way. So, I was at the store last night to get some stuff and a coffee, and this girl came in. I figure she's late 20s, early 30s maybe, fairly well dressed. And well, she was going out the door. I was waiting for my coffee to be made, and when she's going out the door, she turned around and she said, "So it looks like Justin Trudeau is the new prime minister." I said, "Oh yeah." And so I take it that he either has won or is going to win a minority government. And this is what busts me up. She looks at me and goes like, "What? A minority government? Well, I don't know what that is. I just heard that he was winning." Well, then you don't get the vote, right? You know what a minority government is? You don't get the vote. It's friggin' ludicrous. Anyway, so you know, me and the girl that works at the store there, and she's actually very bright. I find that the people that work at the store seem infinitely more intelligent than the people that come in to buy stuff at the store. And I asked them, I said, like, I should get a job working here. This looks really interesting because it's like you guys know what's going on. And all these people who come into the store think, oh, well, that's just a lowly clerk, doesn't realize that the clerk realizes that the customer is actually an empty shell, a brain-dead walking zombie, if you will. So we get quite a laugh out of the customers when they come in and out. It's pretty funny. So anyways, so all the way through this, we went from a huge NDP lead to the Conservatives coming up. The Liberals kind of started coming up, and they went back, and yada, yada, yada. And lo and behold, on election night, Justin Trudeau, son of Pierre Trudeau, Jesuit-trained, member of the Club of Rome, friends with Morris Strong, great friend of I don't even remember what his name is, the guy down in Cuba, wins the election. And so we now have a majority Liberal government. So now Kazakhstan and America have never been closer together. We have Mr. Obama, and we have Mr. Trudeau, both bound on destroying our nations. Now, I'm not saying Harper wasn't bound on destroying our nations, which he was, because that's his job. But the idea was that, you know, the Conservatives are supposed to be the ones who are more, well, conservative, you know, fiscally conservative, you know, morally conservative, like to bomb things, so, you know, the Conservatives. So they're the, I guess, the tight asses, if you will. And they're there to protect their nation. Well, they're not. But that's the game they play. So the Conservatives couldn't openly do what the globalists want done now. So they had to do something. So I thought it was going to be an NDP liberal coalition, minority government kind of thing. One of them would win and the other one would have enough votes to override the Conservatives. And they would just play ball together like that. But they decided in the long run it would probably be better to have a solid majority. So that way there's no possibility of somebody jumping ship when they need them. And so now we can expect up here the floodgates for the migrants to be swung wide open. We can expect massive city transit systems to really get going. And we can expect the water privatization to go into high gear here. We've already privatized our electricity system. And water's next. And so it's going to get real ugly up here. A lot of people are going to get hurt. The deficits are going to rise like a bugger, and we're going to get flooded. I mean, flooded with immigrants, and I don't have a problem with immigrants. I got to kind of qualify that a little bit. I don't have a problem with immigrants. Okay. I do have a problem though with the game they're playing. Immigrants came to our countries, and they assimilated into the society that they immigrated into. Now that's all changed through through multiculturalism. Now the society must assimilate to the immigrant. And of course, that's upside down. But then the world's upside down. And that's where we're at now. So it's going to get interesting up here. But I want to go back to now the news here says that the work has only just begun, says Justin Trudeau at a Tuesday rally. Now this guy's his dad was pretty cunning. You know, his dad had a pretty good IQ on him. I mean, he was a globalist, an internationalist, and a socialist. And he was working for the Queen, and he was working for Rome, working for the Vatican, and so you know, he was doing his deal, and his son not so much. You know, Justin is not the brightest bulb. This picture has him taking selfies with some, I would say, I don't know, 6, 8-year-olds. And it's pretty sad because, well, it's just sad. But coming off a stunning majority victory, Justin Trudeau, he must have been stunned because he go, I won? Yeah, you got a majority. No shit. Well, I didn't expect that. Well, no, but we already had it figured out, Justin. So just shut up and smile and take some selfies with the kids, will you? I mean, this is how bad politics has become. Trudeau says, on behalf of 35 million Canadians, we're back. We're back. Said to resounding applause at a rally of party volunteers in Ottawa on Tuesday afternoon. This is what a positive, hopeful vision and platform and team can make happen, he said. Do we really win? Yeah. Keep talking. Okay. I mean, it's bizarre. Anyways, that's not the Trudeau spent the morning shaking hands and taking selfies at a subway stop in the riding he won last night. This is amazing. A White House spokesman, that's for those south of the border, said that President Barack Obama planned to call Trudeau Tuesday afternoon. And that's a good idea. Ernest said that the U.S. hopes Trudeau's government would continue to fight against the Islamic State group and back the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. Now, the Islamic State group, is that ISIS? I don't know. I don't pay much attention to all that shit. Fight against the Islamic group. Well, when Obama wouldn't put his hand on the Bible, isn't kind of Obama a kind of muzzly little guy? These guys are going to open the floodgates. And the next step is to eradicate and I've said it for years. I've been saying this for so many years. It's ridiculous. Two things got to fall. Two things have to fall. The American Constitution, even though it got usurped a gazillion years ago, but people still believe it actually has some effect. So they let the people believe that. But it has to be gone away with. And the other thing that has to be gone away with is the King James Bible. And they've, I don't know, it's like stateside, but up here they've pretty much removed it from any governmental organization. And like I said before, when Farmer George was in jail and asked for a Bible, they said they didn't have any in the jail, but they could get him a Quran. So expect more of that same stuff. Now, somebody sent me a video yesterday from John Oliver, who I think is a complete twit, but then he's on TV. And he's a player because he wouldn't be on TV if he wasn't a player. So I listened through this most retarded video of him going at the Canadian election and that. And he was on, he made fun of Trudeau and he made fun of McClare and like he's supposed to. This is how disinfo works so well, you see. And then he went at Stephen Harper. But the message of that so-called comedy bit was that Harper is anti-environment, and he is also anti-rights. And this was over the Islamic woman or the Muslim woman who didn't think she should have to show her face when she took the oath of citizenship in Canada. And all of these lefties, so that's a good idea. You shouldn't have to do that. No, you shouldn't have to do that. So just to make a point of it, it went to the Supreme Court because this woman wanted to be a Canadian citizen before the election. And so the Supreme Court overruled the rules allowing this woman to become a Canadian citizen without showing her face during the ceremony. So that's what Oliver was on about, okay? Pro-Islamic, pro-wacko environmental nonsense, which is killing the countries. So that was the main message of the thing. It was a propaganda piece. A lot of people were laughing about it. That's the whole deal, right? Get them laughing, and they don't get it. They don't get the message. And so, bite me, Oliver, you twit. But then you're on TV making lots of money. Why should I complain that you never said nothing true in your entire life? Nor does anybody else on the tube. Let's see here now. So what we got now, we've got Justin Trudeau, whose daddy was a good friend of Morris Strong, and Morris Strong is a major minion of Rockefeller. And so now we have Sonny Boy coming in here. And, Morris Strong and the Rockefellers, they want to depopulate the world. They want to basically hurt you. The idea of internationalization is Sovietization. And some people call it commutarianism, but it doesn't matter. It's all the same game. And, they control everything. And it's going to hurt. But what really got me, was not what happened here in Canada, but what happened down in Washington, D.C., on this election. And this is haywire, but this is not unexpected. Okay, so this is basically how all of this garbage operates, and it's all about internationalism. Okay, I mean, Rockefeller says some people accuse him of, and he stands. And he accepts that because he is an internationalist. And that internationalist, gave up the land for the United Nations. Wonder why? Now, what am I looking for? Here's a story. Let's put it in the chat. Jubilant Canadian expats hope for fresh policy and their vote back. Okay, filled with Canucks, a Washington, D.C. bar was the scene of cheers and high fives Monday night with the defeat of the Harper government, whose foreign policy they were often at odds with and which stripped the franchise from those living away for more than 5 years. Well, if you're not in the country for 5 years, and why are you voting, right? You know what's going on? But then I guess you might as well vote because the people inside the country don't have a clue what's going on. And that's something else I've said for many, many years. You shouldn't be able to vote if you don't know what's going on. You should have to take a little test, a simple little test. Like, do you know what a minority government is? No. Then you don't vote. Do you know any issues? Do you know any history about the country you live in? No. Then you don't get to vote. You don't get to vote because you like orange better than red, or you like red better than blue, or you're really up on this green color. You don't get to vote. Go learn something. Then come back, test. If you pass the test, we'll give you a ballot and go vote. But then you can't vote anyways, can you? Because only your legal fiction can vote. So nobody gets to vote. Because you can't vote. I don't give a damn what country you're living in. If you got such a thing as called a citizenship, you can't vote. The man or the woman cannot vote. It's a frickin' impossibility. Oh, I voted. I put the mark on the ballot. Yeah, well, who did you register to vote? What? When you went to register to vote, who did you register to vote? Me? No. Because you can't vote. You can't buy or sell. Okay? You can't do a damn thing. Only your legal entity can, and you act as an agent for it. So it was the legal entity that voted because that's what you registered to vote. You're the dummy running around thinking you're voting when you're not. It's a simple proxy vote. It's a simple corporate proxy vote. You're a slave to the corporation, which is called your government. And the slaves vote on behalf of the slave owner. And the slave owner of you is your legal entity. That's your slave owner. Just like back in Rome a long time ago. But instead of a physical slave owner, they've swapped that out for your legal identification. And just like the slave owner bought and sold slaves, your entity is bought and sold. Okay? So you get bought and sold, and that's it. So anyway, but forget all that stuff for now. I love this. The sudden explosion of hoots and hollers at every bad bit of conservative news spoke to the sentiments in the crowd of the workers. Get this. These are Canadian expats who are in Washington, D.C., and they are so happy that little Justin, the liberal, got elected. And every time it looked like the conservatives were going to win, they got all bummed out. And so every bad bit of conservative news spoke to the sentiments in this crowd of workers at the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Inter-American Development Bank, political consultants, and Canadians who work in American politics. Some Canadian diplomats were there too, but this wasn't the official gathering hosted at the embassy. This was at the Irish pub O'Sullivan's just outside Washington, where Canadians gather for events like hockey games, or in this case, a change of government. So, this is what it's all about. Internationalism. Okay? None of these people that you think you elect, one, they don't represent you. Two, they don't give a sweet bejesus if you live or die. Okay? They're internationalists. They're globalists. And that's just the way it is. Okay? This crowd was full of multilateral institution championing mythical latte sipping purveyors of foreign policy nuance who cringed for a decade at the bullhorn of diplomacy and worldview of their government back home. I mean, we don't have government. And, well, here in Canada, we never had government. We always had corporation. And, I haven't studied the United States as well as some people, but all I really need to see is the Virginia and the Plymouth Company to tell me that America was built by corporation as well. So, it's going to get real damned interesting here because we don't have any... I don't know what you would call it, we don't have a conservative-liberal clash or stalemate going between the two countries here now. We have full-bore, crazy, globalist, liberal shit coming at us, oh man, it's going to be a wild ride from here on in. People bitch about, and I'm no fan of conservatives or liberals or anybody. They're all liars, and they're all treasonous dogs, and they should all be, put somewhere. We need make work projects. Maybe it's time to start building gallows all over the place. Who knows? But the fact is that now that everybody's playing on the same game board, we're in a lot of trouble. The liberal governments of some of the provinces, take it Ontario, cutting deals with California constantly. Getting in on the carbon credit deal. Getting in on the water usage deals. They've all been working together. I mean, you can't even do that. I mean, if it was a real government, you couldn't go cut a deal with a government in California and bring that deal back. You couldn't do it. But they do it all the time now because the people ain't paying any attention to anything. And that's just what they want. So I don't know how... I mean, I see around here now popping up in the newspapers all over the place around here that this couple or that couple want to sponsor Syrian migrants. And they're looking for the community to donate, to come together for humanity and all this kind of stuff. And that is going to get very pervasive now that the liberals are in power. It's going to get crazy. And that's something that we're going to have to look out for. And what we're going to do about it exactly, I'm not 100% sure. Just keep talking to people and try to keep cluing them in as to what's going on. It's absolute craziness. what's happening here. But we knew it was going to happen. And, we've let it slide too long because, like, people would, they talk about, we all know, at least listen to this show and are in the chat now, we all know that this was planned out a long time ago. But it's difficult for the majority of the people because they don't read anything. I think the thing that has disturbed me the most, and I was talking to the girl at the corner store last night, and I said, I think the one thing that's really bugging the hell out of me right now is the fact, and I don't know if somebody's in the chat that knows this in America or somewhere else, if you're from somewhere else, and this is going on in your neck of the woods. The trade deals, I really can't do much about from here. Syria, I can't do nothing about, all of these things I can't do anything about because we're in our local areas. But when I found out the kids can't write and they're not taught to write, only print. Well, if you print, then you're kind of stupid. Why don't you write? I don't know how to write. How can you not know how to write? I don't even know what you're talking about. What's writing? It really disturbed me that I got a 14 and 16-year-old kind of half niece in school they're in high school and they don't know how to write. And my question is for the parents. Do you ever pay any attention to what the hell's going on at the school? I mean, I don't know why that screws me up so bad, but that one thing really ticks me off and messes me up. The parents just don't notice. They don't notice that their child can't write. Anyways, when I was talking to the cashier at the store last night, she said she actually has a friend whose daughter did a paper and she wrote it out, and the teacher made her go and redo it. The teacher wouldn't accept it. The student had to go back and print it out because the teacher wouldn't accept writing. Maybe the teachers can't write anymore either. I don't know. But again, I don't know why that gets under my cross so bad. But that to me is that the final stage of dumbing down that was required? I don't know. Kind of seems that way. How stupid can we make these people? Well, won't the parents notice? Nah, we dumbed them down last generation. Oh yeah, right, we did. Because like Brzezinski said, take 2.5, 3 generations to dumb people down to the point where, I don't know, maybe they'd vote for Justin Trudeau or Obama twice. Who knows? But, there's nowhere left to go, folks. This is it. And if you have any clue what it is they got in mind and how they're putting this together, we're in trouble. We're gonna have to. I don't know. Maybe the answer came out at the 1200s. When the villagers, or as they like to refer to them, the Villians, are we dumber than they are? Or were? Are we? I don't know. Because at some point, the villagers and that were sitting around and going, what's wrong with this picture? What the hell is wrong with this picture? And I don't know exactly how or why they figured it out, but at some point they had a light go off in their head. Why are we like this? Why are we being told what we can and can't do by these people? And it dawned on them what the problem was. The lawyers. The lawyers who were in cahoots with the kings. So the bankers and the lawyers saved the king's ass because he didn't have money or too much got spent in a war and got his back against the wall financially. At which point the bankers and the lawyers go to the king and bail his ass out. But they want something out of it as well. And the king goes, well, yeah, all right. Okay. So they kicked up their fraud of lawyering, lying, and usury stealing, and went to work together. And the commoners, if you will, sat down and figured out what the problem was, and they went after them viciously. And their aim was to wipe them off the map. And when they thought they got them all or got enough of them, they went home. Only some of the lawyers came back. And I'm sure dragging their buddies, the bankers. And went to King John and said, we got to go get these guys. And he said, I can't. Why? Well, I signed this Magna Carta thing. Well, yeah, but you were under duress when you signed it, therefore it's null and void. Let's go get them. So there was a point in history where we came very close to getting back to real law. The real law, which is the moral law, which is, do unto others, you would have them do unto you, and so on and so forth. But law was, and still remains to this day, except it's been completely buried and ignored, and that is the do no harm. Because if you haven't done any harm, you haven't created a victim, and therefore there has been no crime committed. No money in that, though. It's like curing cancer. There's no money in it. Okay? There's no money in truth. There's no money in getting the problem fixed. So they kick up their legal system, which has enslaved the entire planet. And we're enslaved by bankers, lawyers, and fast-talking politicians who are generally bankers or lawyers, writing these rules and regulations to enrich themselves at everybody else's expense. And we've been putting up with it for a hell of a long time. And that's basically what I tried to explain to the Premier's office yesterday, is that I've had to get into a few fights with government agencies and officials and that in the past, and they say, well, I can't do nothing about it, and you can't do nothing about it because it's wrote down here on a piece of paper. See, it says it's a policy. Where the hell did the policy come from? A bunch of jackass lawyers wrote some stuff down on paper in some language nobody understands. In fact, I'm sure most lawyers don't even understand their own damn language. They understand policy and procedure, but that's about it. And so, it did. I didn't know really what I was doing. I would have a problem, and I had gone and seen lawyers, and they would explain to me that I'm screwed. I don't know why. Well, because, see, it says right here in this policy. What the hell's that got to do with anything? It's absolutely immoral. And so I always fought from the moral angle, and didn't realize that I was doing the right thing until I came across the fact that legal is amoral. That's why these clowns can sit here, sit right in front of your face as they destroy your life and say, hey, I'm just doing my job. It's the policy. It's the policy. Because it's freaking amoral. It's got nothing. There's no morals involved in this stuff. The law is moral. Legal is amoral. And this is the most, we're run and enslaved by the biggest group of amoral dickweeds that ever landed on this planet. And if we don't get ourselves out from under that somehow, we're going to watch a massive depopulation of this planet. Because this policy says we have to, because if we don't, then the planet won't survive. So you understand, it's not us. It's just a policy, and your government passed a policy, and the international government passed a policy, and you can't have any water, okay, and you can't have any electricity, and you have to go live in a little wee condo somewhere beside a rail track because it's all wrote down here in the policy. Because we're moral. We don't give a damn about you. We don't care if you survive or not. So we got to we really, I don't know, man, not in my wildest imagination, and I wasn't, again, paying dick all really attention to the election, but you know, they made their decision. It's not going to be a left coalition government. That could go wrong somehow. We need full bore ahead here. And as Harper, Elizabeth Dodsworthy, I think her name is, or something like that, who is our lieutenant governor now, she was the second intro on Local Agenda 21 with Morris Strong. And people call Harper anti-environment. Well, he must be pro-environment, at least he's pro-globalist, because he's the one that appointed lieutenant governor of Liberal Ontario. And she, being from the UN as well, said she was sick and tired of this incremental change. She just wanted to pull the plug. Let's go. Let's get it done. So now we have a majority federal Liberal government with the lieutenant governor of Ontario being from the UN out of the Rockefeller Morris Strong camp, and a crazy lesbian liberal nutcase who's the premier of the province, stacked up with the federal Liberals. It's going to get weird. It's going to get damn weird. So we'll see how the theater plays out. But anyways, I just want to take my hat off to Michael Schmidt before we get off air here. I'm hoping to get him on air in the next week or so. He's been running his tail off. And there's a farmer from the east coast of Canada has been getting beat up for decades as well by the government down there. And I think it would be really interesting if we get those two gentlemen on the show at the same time. We'll show you what tough men are all about. Men who got a spine, a mind, and a moral value attached to them. Anyways, I hear music. I want to thank everybody. Be cool and be liberal. So I gotta go with that. Take care, everybody. Good. Bye-bye. All right.